the number one thing that we tried to literally like beat into everyone, employees and also our customers, was the service aspect. Yes, I am selling you a piece of hardware. That is correct, and it does a lot of great things to help your business. But I believe in business, the true kind of key point that you're selling is the service that you're going to provide. I think that's the reason why, Alloy is still with us even after 10 years.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so pumped today to have my friend and tech extraordinaire, salesman of the century. I don't know how to describe you, Dan, but my good buddy Dan Park with InBody, who, if you don't know, listen, I don't know anybody that doesn't know you guys that might be listening to this is in the fitness space, but great vendor partner of ours, and you have been for some time now. But psyched to have you on, man. Welcome.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you. Glad to be on and glad to share, everything that we're doing and, how we've been kind of like chugging away.
Yeah, chugging away is right. And you guys have evolved a ton. So I can't wait to dig into that. But first of all, just tell us, pre-recording, we were talking a little bit about the history of InBody. So, tell us like how InBody got started. You were one of the OGs, right? You were in at the start. So tell us like the idea of InBody, how it got started, what your role was when you came on. Just give us the early days of InBody.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely come a long way, right? The office opened up in '04, '05, around there, literally with 5 people. Everyone's positioned. We were all like many hats, right? We do sales, we do prospecting, we do sales, we do closes, we do CS, we clean the office, the janitorial work. We did everything. We went to trade shows, right? And with this pretty much team of 5, I mean, I say we were doing at least like 30, 40 shows back then a year because of the exposure that we needed to make. But just to kind of scale it back a little, a lot of people don't know that InBody USA is a subsidiary of InBody Korea, which is our headquarters office. They've been established since 1996. We have about 6 or 7 other offices like ours, and pretty much like distributors all over the world, covering over 80 countries.
I had no idea. I had no idea that about that. That's crazy. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the technology then translates well everywhere, right? Because it's just science. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think that was like one of the things that you wanted to kind of touch on. And I think it's really important because one of the first things that I realized was how much people don't know about what body comp is. And now, fast forward, 15 plus years, it's kind of funny to see how receptive they become, right? And I think like in the early days, people were just like shocked when I knocked on their door and I was saying, "Hey, I'm trying to get you a body comp. It's $10,000," and they're like freaking out because they thought it was just a scale, right?
Right.
And our whole thing was about getting the information out there, educating people on muscle, fat, water, the importance of it, tracking it, and doing it from there. So yeah, we've definitely come a long way.
Yeah, 100%. So tell me a little bit, like, why was the company created? Like the original, I mean, obviously you started in Korea, but was there a gap in the market? Like, what did the founders see that made them, obviously that's a business, right? There's a problem in the market. I'm going to build a machine, which is a business to solve that problem. Like, was it more medically leaning? Because I know you guys do a lot of work in that space as well. Like, what was the idea behind InBody originally?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our founder is actually a electrical engineer.
Oh, cool.
And he has a degree in med, like he went through the whole med school thing and all of that. And one of his projects was early BIA. And it was to show that there were some inconsistencies and this thing can be improved And that's what kind of peaked everything from then on out. And even after getting his postdoctorate and everything, like, I think he went like University of Utah, he went to Harvard Med, he was doing all of his research over here in the States, went back to his hometown and pretty much is like, we could do this, and started up the company, came out with the first InBody product. Um, I think in the beginning it was all like single frequency, not to be technical, but single
No, that's
frequency.
cool. I mean, hell, most
Just
people probably
yeah,
really wonder what makes you guys different. So dig
yeah,
in. Like, I mean, listen, body fat, the way we used to do it was we would just grab fat on someone and pinch them with calipers, which is I
exactly.
look at things through a couple of lenses. Like, we're a personal training brand. So I want something that looks and smells very professional, right? Like it's
Yeah,
got to be the best of, because the
yeah,
science is important for us as a personal training brand. We're more than just entertainment. Like we're going to give a fun, great customer experience, but part of that customer experience is also like, hey, this is the most scientific measuring device that we have. And by the way, also the customer experience on that machine is very nice and friendly. It's not like pull up your shirt, let me squeeze your fat, which I mean, it has a ton of margin for error scientifically. It's also just a terrible experience for the end user. So the InBody, it looks cool, it's non-invasive, right? And it's super accurate. So touch on that. Like, what is the science behind it that makes it so much better than all of the other body fat measuring machines?
yeah. I will say bioimpedance is bioimpedance. I mean, you can't stray too far from it. And a lot of people have this misconception about how bioimpedance is a body fat measuring device, but technically it's a body water measuring device. And so what it's doing is it's measuring uh, the resistance of currents through body water, and then allowing you to have a lean body mass value, and then everything left over from your weight is going to be considered fat. So someone wearing shorts versus someone wearing jeans, the one with jeans is going to be measuring heavier, then leading to more body fat mass, right?
Interesting. Yep.
Now the technology, I think it was more of a combination that we've done. So we've added different features to increase the accuracy of it. So the first one being the 8-point tactiles, right? We have both hands and both feet. Early devices only had feet, or they had like one hand and one foot, or just the handheld, right? So we've added both hands and both feet. We've added extra frequencies in order to measure both intra and extracellular water. So if you're starting off with a baseline water measurement that's more accurate, then you're going to get more accurate lean body mass, so on and so forth, right? And then we've also added a technology that we call direct segmental. So with the 8-point tactile electrodes, we're able to single out arm, left versus right, the legs, the torso, so that you could kind of see like in that section how much lean body mass you have. The combination of all those three enable us to not have to use like proprietary type of information such as age, gender, body type, right?
Right.
And that's a big one, especially because in the early days, when it came to like fitness and working out, primarily it was male, right?
Right.
But females always just had this conception of like cardio, not building muscle because I didn't want to become muscular and all of that. But hey, fast forward, things have changed. Now, so men, women, even children are doing a lot more resistance training to build more muscle. And, having a tool to be able to track muscle and not just focus on fat is kind of like what InBody's about. And as far as like the experience, that was, very important to us. I mean, even if you look at calipers and how calipers have changed, calipers being like one is plastic and the other one is metal and it comes in a little suitcase. Which one
Right.
would you want to provide, your members? It's the better one, right?
Right.
And so like, we wanted the experience to not have this plastic type of feel. Like it
Right.
it is you're dealing with technology here in order to give you more accurate data and also track it over time.
Yeah, I mean, from our standpoint, it looks like an artistic piece in the gym, right? It looks high tech. It's sort of, I mean, I guess I could say this with your tech, Apple-esque. It's like clean, simple, approachable. You know what I mean? It doesn't have a lot of tactile wires and stuff hanging out. It looks really smooth and cool. But that goes a long way, man, for the customer experience because at least for us in a personal training brand, we're bringing people in and maybe they haven't been exercising in a while. So the last thing they want to do is like something that's intimidating or invasive, right? And it doesn't do any of those things. I think another thing for us, Dan, and it's just great feedback for you guys, is one of the things that we try to measure is something we call time to value. I think the business acronym is just TTV. And what that means is like when people come in, like we always say, people come to us for typically body comp, right? Or fat loss or whatever that may be, but they stay long-term for community. But you first and foremost have to present the thing that they're here for. You have to produce results around that to get them to stick, right? And then over time, our average stay for customers 3 years. So the ups and downs of a fitness journey, you're on the wagon, you're off the wagon. It's just life, right? It's just everybody's in the same boat. So we're kind of managing you throughout that journey for at least 3 years, some, for the life of our 30 years in business. But the thing I like about the InBody is we can get someone in and let's say they set a goal of like, hey, I want to lose 5 pounds and like, I want to lose 10 pounds, but we're like, all right, well, a pound a week is doable. We give them some goals, give them some nutrition, got an app for all that stuff. It's great. But what happens is if they do build a little lean tissue, to your point, maybe that first month, the goal was 5 pounds, right? And maybe they only lost 3, but we really don't know what's going on inside their body. And if we just use the static scale as the only measure, it would feel like a failure, right? Sort of that Cantor's law where it's like everybody's excited at the start, everybody likes a
Yeah.
happy ending, everything in the middle is messy and feels like crap. It's like, okay, in the middle, let's have some time to value wins that we can get people in a quick period of time. And so 30 days later, if I do another InBody and your scale says you've only lost 3, but I can show that you've actually added a couple of pounds of lean tissue and lost more body fat than that to get that 3 pounds, then that's a win. So we love it for time to value because it's hard to know what's going on inside your body. And we can then show tangible results, right? Because if somebody only loses 3, they're probably still feeling it, but we're just so stuck on that weight on the scale.
Exactly.
But if you present this like this InBody, and you show what's going on inside their body and their visceral fat's down 2 points or whatever that is, and then they say, well, that's right. Like my pants do fit better. Right? I mean, they know it, and it just sort of confirms it. But it brings that quick time to value that we can do the thing that you came in here for. Then it earns us the trust. Then we can start having those long-term conversations about, hey, it's probably going to take a while, right? And then you're going to need to stick with it long-term. But that's not an easy message to sell on the front end. So InBody is like, for us, time to value, great tool for that.
Yeah. And on that note, I always talk to my team, about, I call it the 3 E's, and it's education. And this is kind of like part of our purpose, right? Education is number one, because we need to give people as much information as possible surrounding, muscle mass, fat mass, water in their body, and how it kind of like, leads people to become more healthy. The more education you give them, the more they become empowered. So that's the second one, empowerment. Someone is able to learn something and kind of make a move for themselves, make a change in their life. As they continue that journey and they're making that change, it becomes number 3, which is engagement. People love to share about the challenges that they went through and the success that they've gotten. So even though someone will walk by an InBody and say, oh my God, like, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to measure that. Once they get on there and they get that information, then they start moving, then they start seeing the results. They're tracking it the whole time. Next thing is, it's like they're telling their best friend, they're telling their family, they're telling, so and so about the journey that they've been through. And that is kind of like that's what makes us happy here, that we're able to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it, that's like from a straight hard marketing standpoint for one of like an alloy facility, social proof is a big deal, right? I mean, it's I think people want to, like, people like us, we always say, right? Like what is someone like me experiencing at this place? And if we can show someone who fits our avatar, and we're a bit different than most fitness concepts. We're 45 to 65 as an avatar because personal training trends more expensive. So by default, like it just pushes us sort of like a sports car or something. It's like 28-year-olds think they're cool, but they're mostly selling to 50-year-olds because they have more money. It's like you've been around long enough to rub some nickels together, and you can afford these nicer cars. Same thing with us. And I think for the InBody is a great tool. Again, it looks more scientific, and I think we're trying to be that, right, to that customer avatar that has more money. They want something that's better, that's smart. I think that's a good word, right? And so that good science and the customer experience around it just builds more value. That's all it does. It just looks so much more professional. And listen, I know some fitness facilities do it, but we're probably one of the few that do it, especially in boutique fitness. I mean, like if you're running a cycling studio or something, quite honestly, I don't even know if that thing would be good for you because you probably aren't going to be able to prove the inside things that are happening in a cycling studio. No, again, not throwing shade to them, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's probably not going to manifest itself in the same way. And you really don't even have the time on the front end to do it. So in boutique fitness, to just put this at the front and center leads to all kinds of great conversations, right? We can set protein goals. We've got like protein supplements if you can't eat enough, which a lot of people struggle with that. It's like, especially as we get older, we don't process our proteins as well. It's like, here's your lean body mass, and we know for sure what that is. Now, as this goes up, we can do these other things. So it just leads to all kinds of really interesting conversations. But I think it's the fact that it's very professional, very scientific. And we always essentially say, hey, it's the best electrical impedance testing device on the market. That's why it's so expensive, but it's well worth it. I mean, the return on investment for us, at least, is tenfold. It's required for all of our franchises. They have to have it in there, and we coach them about conversations around it, what to say about it, what things are important. You guys help us out with that a lot as well, but we've pretty much got that nailed. So we love it. So what did you find? I know that you guys do a little bit of medical, right, as well as fitness. What's the percentage of that business for you guys? Like, where do you make hay? Like, what's your ideal customer?
Yeah, I like how you said that, that we do a little medical. I mean, it's just because I spend so much time working with you that you may feel that way.
Right.
Believe it or not, the InBody device, as it entered into the US market, we made sure that this was legit. And so we received FDA approval on it when it came in. And even to this day, the data and that security is very important to us. So HIPAA compliance, ISO certifications, like all of that stuff, we are all certified and accredited towards. So, the medical industry is huge. And, we probably have an equal balance of medical and fitness, believe it or not. And a lot of people will just kind of simply think that weight management, like weight management physicians, is the only kind of place, or like nutrition. But rehab, cardiology, cancer, dialysis, ICU, like it's spreading all across the board. And the reason for that is not because those specialties focus on percentage of body fat, but the water balance in those patients and the amount of muscle mass that they have is vital. Like, as you know, if you had like any surgeries or whatnot, like even anesthesiologists, they determine how much you get based on your weight. But how the body reacts to that would be based on how much muscle you have, actually. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get more and more in there and enlighten them to stray away from BMI and go more towards, muscle to fat to water and that ratio, so that they can make a better indication on how to provide, care for all the patients that are there.
Yeah, my daughter is a ICU cardiac nurse, and I can tell you she spends a ton of time working on like electrolyte imbalances and all these, IV treatments for that, and fluid on the heart, fluid here and fluid there. And that's something that, for us, it's one of the things that we don't talk about a lot. But what's really interesting about the InBody, and again, as a personal training brand, I just feel like we have to do a little bit better than most. It's not just entertainment. Certainly it's a great experience, but we have to do a little better, right, than other brands in this regard. And so what I love about these specific areas of where we're holding water is, let's say someone that had like a lymph node, cancer surgery, right? You can then measure edema in limbs, which is super cool. If somebody has, say, an orthopedic surgery like an ACL tear, you can measure lean tissue in right leg versus left to see if they're coming back, right? So all that stuff, it just makes us look really smart, and it's just right there. It measures it, and it's easy for us to just read it off. So we don't have to be an orthopedist or a doctor in physical therapy to say like, hey, as we get stronger, we're going to need to do some single leg work, right? Now that you're finished with your rehab and you're coming back here for strength conditioning, we need to really work on this and see if we can get the muscle mass to equal in both of these legs. So, and sometimes it just happens by default. So, but just for customers to be able to see the results of that, or edema, right, and those type of things. It's just, again, it's just a step above what you're typically going to get from like a pension, or a handheld, electrical impedance device for body fat. So we use it for those things too, not at that level, but we still think it's really important.
Yeah, exactly. I think that in the early days, when we were talking about InBody at certain clubs and, common injuries like ACL tears and that kind of stuff, you could clearly see that one leg is bigger than the other, clearly. Right. But when you looked at the lean body mass that was on the leg that had the tear and had the surgery, it was higher. And we didn't understand why. And we had to educate them on the fact that extracellular fluid also causes lean body mass to increase or seem increased, right? And so, a lot of the times, like, any sort of like rehab or recovery, we work with a lot of professional sports teams and PT clinics and performance centers to help them to not necessarily diagnose, we can't say that, but we help them to provide better care for their members and their athletes and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I love it. And again, once you learn it, I mean, the machine gives you everything you need. All you have to do is learn how to read the report, right? You've got all the info right in front of you. The great news is, even when we have people in town, Dan, we have something, it's the last step in the sales process. It's like confirmation day. So people fly in, they meet our team. We take them through like a sample of what we do with new clients, and we take them through what we call the starting point session, which is when we do the first InBody. And then everybody gets one on confirmation day. We do like half a day, then we all break bread and have dinner that night. Then we go into the hard business metrics the next day, and then we send them off. And then, we're vetting them, they're vetting us. And if it all works, then we franchise, right, together. And so day one, though, we do kind of like what happens in the life of a new customer. And we do InBody on everyone. And then Matt, who's our VP of program design, sits down with everyone and walks them through what we're looking at. And it's always a real positive experience. Again, it's just like, people are like, wow, this is so cool, because everybody loves a little what about me. And what's more what about me than literally taking a snapshot of what's going on inside your body, right?
Yeah.
And, we can talk about like health related, like what do we want to see people's visceral fat be? And like, as this goes up, this will change. Here's some levers we can pull, or how much protein do you eat? Or just, there's all kinds of cool conversations, but you can just see the light bulb come on for our franchise candidates, most of which are, by the way, in the same age category as the end users are going to be, right, when they open their location. Because again, same idea. If you're investing in a franchise, you probably got some financial resources. So very same customer avatar, and they're always like, oh, this is awesome. Everybody's going to love this, right? Because they like it. So it's a great sales tool. Right? It really is for us as well. And it probably gets undersold for that. What did you find? Obviously, you've been with the company since the start, but what did you find surprising about approaching the fitness market? Did you find that it was well received, or what were some of the challenges? Just speak to what you maybe were surprised about when you entered the fitness space.
I would say it was challenging. I thought, I guess like a lot of the times we assumed that the education was there, or the awareness was there. When you get in there though, and we start talking about this, and one of our main goals in producing this product and giving it out there is giving it more in a simplistic way. And we get mixed reviews, right, with the results sheet. Some people say, oh my God, there's so much information. And some people say, wow, it hits like every single point that I would like to make. So we get both. But I would say the biggest challenge was getting over that hump and finding those individuals that had the education before, and then bringing everyone else kind of like up to speed. Because one of the things that we knew was, when it comes to, the education members, their experience, and keeping them, we needed something that would track, results, real results. And so once we got that in there, then we started tracking their results. They started, like, light bulbs started to go off, right? But before that, you only have one test there. It won't really make sense to them. But
Right.
once you get like multiple tests, it's like, wow, thank God I actually started testing before. So now I can kind of see my progress and keep kind of things going. Um, Technology, I think, has always been kind of on the rise in the fitness industry. Before, it was just like weights and all of that, but now there's like a lot more machines. There's a lot more tech on the machines, tracking and all of that kind of stuff. So it was good that we were just in the beginning. We were kind of following and all of that, and we got in at a really good time, and that's the reason why everything kind of took off in the fitness industry for us. And that goes with clubs such as yours, studios such as yours, and then also like other types of clubs, and it works out like with our models in different ways.
So obviously, you're right. Like you kind of hit you brought in a really slick piece of technology when fitness was just sort of starting to pay attention to technology, right?
Yeah.
Which is, again, great timing. What kind of, what have you learned about scaling, or maybe what have you guys done to scale? Because, kind of joked about, hey, at the beginning we had 5 people and we literally did everything. I think everybody listening that's had a small business has been through that. Obviously, you guys
Yeah.
are much bigger than that now. So give us an idea of the infrastructure. Like, what kind of pieces did you have in place? Did you have any challenges? Like, how did you go from 5 to where you are now? What did you
Yeah.
do to scale the business?
Yeah, currently, I believe we just had our quarter meeting, our second quarter meeting, first half of the year meeting, and we've hit 100 employees.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's a great milestone for us. Um, yeah, starting out early on, I would say that the product has helped us tremendously, because the quality of the product, didn't require us to have such a huge service team. And just like I mentioned, in the beginning, we were fixing units if there were any problems. We were testing units, we were packing units, and we were selling units long time ago. Now we have dedicated departments, obviously, with 100 people. We do have a service team, we have a repair team, and we have logistics and QC, and anything that you can imagine. And the number one thing that we try to literally like beat into everyone, employees and also our customers, was the service aspect. Yes, I am selling you a piece of hardware. That is correct. And it does a lot of great things to help your business. But I believe in business, the true kind of key point that you're selling is the service that you're going to provide. I think that's the reason why Alloy is still with us even after 10 years, because companies can come and go. They can make great products and they could be out, and after winning a big contract, because they can't even provide that service after. And so the key thing for us was, I want to make sure that all of our people, they know what they're buying, they're getting exactly what they need. If they need to like upgrade their device later, let them do that, but don't give them too much because it's going to overwhelm them. And let's make sure that in a timely manner, we get back to all of our clients. We are attentive to every aspect of, like, whether it's marketing, training, accessories, and service, and just keep that going. And that's kind of like what led us to now. If it wasn't for that, if we were only just like money driven, then I don't think we would be where we're at right now.
Yeah. So really, it seems like you've done a good job of it. Now, I'll just say, just product alone, we're, I think, on our original machine, which I don't know when we purchased it, but we've never had a problem with it. So it's like, okay, the thing for a tech machine, like everything else breaks, including all my laptops and everything else over time. That thing is like a bomb proof, at least from where we stand compared to other technological pieces that we've purchased. So it's been really nice. But So really the scaling was the culture is what I'm hearing. Like you had to take that culture that you started with those 5 people where yes, you've got an amazing product, but it's also like the customer care and the communication, clear communication, education, all the things you've talked about. You've got to scale that out to 100 people now, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's you guys have been able to do that, it sounds like. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely had our ups and downs, just like any other company would, when it comes to scaling. I will say we have lost some good people, but to this day, right now, in the group that we have really good people with us. So, we're just trying to see what it is that's going to take us to the next step.
Well, that's a perfect segue. So, what is next for InBody? What do you guys like? Maybe technological advancements that are on the horizon. Anything that you can share? What's next for InBody?
Yeah, we have a brand new high end, our top of the line product is the InBody 970 that just launched earlier this year. But we have body comp, models like down the line, right? All the way
Right.
down from 270 up to this 970. Another product that we launched this year is called the BWA. So it's literally body water analyzer. And it's supposed to really emphasize a lot more on the body water in the medical industry. So it could really help them out. Some other things that we've added to the plate is blood pressure.
Hmm.
And blood pressure is like a very easy measurement. You could buy one for like $40, and you could also buy one for like $5,000, believe it or not. We have our range of different blood pressure devices, both consumer and professional. And the reason why is we were rolling back to information, simplicity, right? And blood pressure is a very simple measurement to do and to understand, but we're not sure whether everyone understands fully the importance of why you measure it, right? Even these small fluctuations could predetermine certain types of conditions that the person may have. And so we wanted to make sure that we're offering a little bit more when it comes to like these screening tools to add blood pressure to that. We got like consumer products. We just launched maybe a few years back, some wearables and also an InBody scale for home use, right?
Oh, cool. Yeah. Is
So
that just feet only, or is it also feet and hands?
yes, feet and hands, and we
Okay,
wanted to
cool.
do that so that it's a lot more accessible. So before we were reaching out to a lot of the business owners to get professional models in there, which we believe that they are doing. But then all of those other areas where the outreach is not yet there, we wanted to make it available to them so that they could also track and monitor their health and make those positive changes.
Now, is that one, do you go direct to consumer or do you sell it through distribution, dealers? How does that work?
Yeah, that's online through
Okay.
different
So directly through you guys?
platforms.
Oh,
Yeah,
different dealers. Okay, online
yeah,
dealers. Yep. Very
yeah,
cool. Tell me
yeah.
about the new flagship machine. Like what is that bringing to the table that's different? Because I think we've been buying either the second. I can't remember thinking
570.
the number.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we're not even
yeah,
close. If there's a
570.
nine, we're like halfway. What does the nine do? Does it actually help you lose body fat while you're on it? Because I'll take it if it does.
it spins you around.
Yes.
um, well, the 970, it's definitely using higher frequencies, right? And higher frequencies are going to increase the sensitivity of the testing, um, especially for measurements that are needed, sensitive measurements that are needed for those types of people, such as I would say athletes, patients in various like health conditions. We need even the smallest fluctuations measured. It also provides, I believe, a max of like maybe 6 or 7 different types of result sheets, including like child result sheets, one on just fat, visceral fat, growth, body comp, body water, all of that stuff. One of the exciting items that it comes with, though, is something called the Y scope. And as you know, we provide a visceral fat level on most of our devices. We wanted to see how we could increase the visceral fat measurement. And so it does work kind of like a clamp, and that's why it's called the Y,
Mm-hmm.
where you do put it on your side and maybe like roll it around your body just to kind of get a circumference measurement as well. But we are venturing in to provide a calculated value of subcutaneous fat because it does
Mm-hmm.
have electrodes on there. So just kind of like giving you like the full aspect of body composition through that device. I would say that it is more tailored towards uh, pro athletes or athletic teams, the medical industry, and the government.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, the government, they need it. Can you make it go around their heads a couple of times, figure out what's going on in there? Get with decision making processes, rewire some of those. Well, listen, man, I appreciate it. Like, again, great vendor partner. I have one final question for you. Well, actually, I have another comment. So, I'm not sure if the InBody measures this, but those of you guys that are listening that have ever met Dan, his liver is made out of like Wolverine materials because I've been out with Dan just a few times, and Dan is an average build guy, but he can drink an immense amount of alcohol and doesn't seem to affect him. And I don't know what your liver's made out of. I'm not sure if InBody can measure that, but I'm pretty sure you have like a Kevlar liver. I'm not sure, but you're a legend on the road. Like this guy is, don't have drinks with Dan unless you're planning on staying out late. That's all I'm going to say to anybody. He's a great, friendly guy. He's going to talk you into like, hey man, just come on over. And then next thing you know, you're going to have a terrible day the next day. So just watch yourself. Dan's a professional at this. It's not for beginners. I'll tell you that. So anyway, all that aside, Dan, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Ooh, keep going.
Love
I
it.
think that I've never stopped the mindset and the passion and the persistence since like day one. When you believe in something, you just keep going. Um, and a lot of people like they kind of like create this endpoint of like success, and I don't think there is one. You could be continuously successful as long as you keep going. So I don't necessarily believe in like a resting space. I think that there's just like no endpoint. I mean, until the Lord takes me, just keep chugging away and keep going at it.
I love it, man. Spoken like a true entrepreneur, right? Just keep learning, move the goalposts,
Yeah,
go move it again, and that's life
yeah,
until you're in the
exactly.
grave. I love it. Well, listen, brother, appreciate you, man. You guys are an amazing vendor partner. We are so pumped to still be working with you guys. Keep doing what you do, and I hope to see you somewhere soon. But Dan Park, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Rick.